So after watching 8 hours of the 3-body problem, this is my take on it.
Dull, dull, unbearably dull.
Yes, the 3-body problem is an incredibly boring show with uninteresting 2-dimensional characters that you could not give less of a fuck about, as they have to deal with an extraterrestrial threat, which is funny because these people are supposed to be the best and brightest of humanity, and yet they spend most of the season coming up with a plan to stop them that ends up being downright retarded, but I'll explain what that plan is later on. Now, this is the first major project by Wise and Benioff since they destroyed Game of Thrones and went into hiding, and now, almost 5 years later, they have finally crawled out from whatever shithole they have been hiding in and have released this, which is not only a bad show, but is simply more evidence that these two assholes are not good writers. And there is no better example of this than the main cast of characters. They are a bunch of diverse scientists and none of them have anything close to a personality between them. All the female scientists are absolute geniuses and all the male scientists are fucking weak, pathetic losers. That's basically the only difference between them. And of course, they are the worst thing about the show. They are about as fun to watch as seeing a bunch of old people in a retirement home shitting their pants all day and waiting to die, because that's how it feels when you watch the show. It is fucking boring. Even Benedict Wong looks as bored watching them as I am, and I like Benedict Wong as an actor, but his character isn't really that much better either. He starts off as a detective investigating a bunch of gritty crime scenes, before spending a lot of time observing these scientists for multiple episodes, before then finally offering to help. But after they start working together, he kind of just stops being relevant and fades into the background, not really doing anything, as his boss, who is played by Liam Cunningham, kind of takes over. Speaking of Liam's character, he is this mysterious figure that seems to have an unlimited amount of resources and the power to basically do whatever he wants, that has been granted to him by every world leader, and it's never explained as to how he got all of this, or just who the fuck he is exactly. The only reason why these two characters are even rememberable is because they are both being played by likeable actors and not the writing itself. The show also has a few very violent death scenes and some nudity that felt like it was put into the story by the writers purely to drum up some excitement, as even they must have recognised that watching this is such a fucking chore to get through. Well, it worked for Game of Thrones, so I guess most regular people won't give a shit that the reason why this scene is happening is incredibly stupid. They will just be distracted by the visuals. But for me, it felt rather forced. For instance, there is one scene in episode 5 where a bunch of people are on a ship being cut apart by razor-sharp, super strong wires in a very violent fashion. It's pretty fun to watch, but the reason why they are doing this is retarded. So Liam Cunningham has to recover a very important hard drive that these people have on this boat without damaging it. So instead of sending in the SAS quietly at night to infiltrate this boat full of untrained civilians to acquire it, which might I add is what they are specialised in doing, no, instead he thinks a better option is to slice the boat into 1,000 pieces and hopes that this hard drive will somehow not be destroyed by all this damage and also not fall into the bottom of the river.
Well, that's just silly.
Silly, yes. Idiotic, yes.
This plan is stupid and unnecessarily complicated, but the writers just wanted a hyper-violent scene and just threw it in.
Sure, you could kill me with your gun, but are you willing to try something much more elaborate and unnecessary?
He's stupid like every other character is, which sums up the 3-body problem perfectly. It's a bunch of incredibly smart scientists and experts spending a lot of time and energy creating very stupid plans, which is why this show is convoluted as fuck, and it has way too many characters that do almost nothing for most of the season. They are just waiting for their cue to be relevant, and in the meantime they just have boring, pointless drama between them. Like, seriously, who gives a fuck that Scientist A likes Scientist B and is just waiting for an opportunity to tell us such? It's completely irrelevant to what is happening this season, and more importantly, it's fucking boring to watch. There's also a lot of inconsistencies in the writing as well, as one moment this all-powerful threat that can do almost anything it wants and seems to be unstoppable will somehow fail to kill a single scientist and ends up running over his girlfriend instead, This threat is so powerful it can drive people insane and can hack all electronic devices in the world simultaneously whenever it wants, meaning it could crash planes already in the sky or take over the world's nuclear arsenal if they wished, and yet somehow it is unable to kill this clueless scientist.
That's so fucking lazy.
Now, with all that said, I'm going to try and summarise this convoluted plot as best I can. So here we go. The show starts in the past in a country called
China,
during a period which has ironically been named the Great Leap Forward, and it's here where we see the Red Guard educating the public on how great communism is by having large struggle sessions in front of a giant mob where they beat and torture people into thinking the right way. It's here where we see the Chinese woman who will become one of the main villains of the season, witnessing her father being beaten to death by a bunch of communists simply because he is an academic and he keeps trying to tell people the truth. And communists really don't like that, as the truth kind of goes against what they are selling. Afterwards, she grows up to be a scientist as well, and also gets arrested just like her father, except this time she is put to work for the government, as they want her to figure out this mysterious signal that they have been hearing. It's eventually revealed that this mysterious signal is being broadcasted from an alien civilization 4 light years away, but when she makes contact, a pacifist alien warns her that his species are conquerors. If she tries to contact them again, they will come and invade Earth. But of course, being a woman who was told not to do something, what does she do? Well, she fucking contacts them again. Why does she believe that these aliens would be any better than mankind when they are literally telling her that they are going to conquer the planet? If she wanted the human race to die, then that would make sense since she has seen the worst humanity has to offer. But thinking that an invasion done by aliens who sound just as terrible as the communists would somehow help mankind makes no fucking sense.
Are you fucking stupid?
There's even a scene set in the present where Benedict Wong points out just how stupid that is.
It told you don't do this. This will be bad for your people, but you did it anyway.
I did.
Wow, that is really stupid.
And her answer is, well, humanity is bad and these aliens are good, so they will help us, even though she was told the very opposite. I know some people defending this will say the aliens can't say they will help because they are incapable of lying, but that's bullshit, since them making an offer of help doesn't have to be a lie. Helping could mean a different thing to the aliens than us, like the Romans coming to help civilize some barbarians. Yes, they plan to murder a lot of them, but to the Romans they are bringing order to a backwards culture, so the offer of help made by the aliens would still work within the rules established by the writers. Anyway, we flash forward to the present, and many scientists across the world are killing themselves after they suddenly started to get visions of a timer counting down. And not just that, but weird shit is happening as well, like giant illusions being cast in the sky. And it's here where we follow a bunch of boring ass scientists. 2 of them are given super advanced VR headsets by a shadowy organisation which drags them into a hyper-realistic virtual world that exists to show them what the 3-body problem is and to recruit them into joining their club. The 3-body problem is when a planet orbits around 3 suns, as this leaves its orbit incredibly unstable, which is a problem because eventually that planet and any aliens that live on it will be destroyed. Which just so happens to be the case, as an alien race called the Santee live on such a planet. Looking to avoid the death of their own species, they sent out a signal into the vastness of space, looking for other civilizations to invade and call their new home. And after the retarded Chinese woman responded to one of their messages, they are now on their way to Earth to culturally enrich the planet. But this trip is going to take 400 years before they arrive, as they can only go 1% the speed of light, which doesn't really make much sense since they clearly have bullshit technology that can do anything, except for this apparently. So in the meantime, they have sent ahead 2 supercomputers the size of protons that can communicate with the alien fleet in real time. The purpose of these computers is to fuck with humanity and to prevent them from developing technologically so that they won't be able to effectively fight back when their fleet arrives. They are also manipulating a group of humans that are alien lovers into doing whatever they want. This group of alien sympathizers are the shadowy organization that gave the two scientists their VR headsets, and are led by the Chinese woman who invited the aliens to come to Earth in the first place. With the help of the supercomputers, this group can seemingly do anything, like assassinate people and be erased from all footage doing it. But during a conversation this computer has with Jonathan Pryce, who is a top member in the cult, he tells the computer that humans are able to lie and deceive, which somehow is shocking to this supercomputer that has access to the internet, and afterwards it just decides to stop helping this very useful group.
That's fucking stupid!
It doesn't really make any sense as to why the computer would do this. They are supposed to be extremely intelligent, but they just let this organization, which has been so helpful to them, fall apart very quickly. And after one police raid, almost everyone in the group has been killed or captured, including the Chinese woman. Jonathan Pryce and whoever is left have escaped on a ship and are now on the run. The opposing group that is hunting down these alien lovers are led by Liam Cunningham and Benedict Wong, who seem to have an unlimited amount of authority to do whatever the fuck they want, even if that means taking direct control over the Royal Navy. And even though they are enemies of the supercomputer, it just allows them to destroy their loyal group of followers that they have been using for decades for absolutely no reason.
Why?
This so-called superintelligence is actually super retarded. So after skipping a fuck ton of stupid filler, such as Benedict Wong letting the Chinese woman who has betrayed mankind and has murdered God knows how many people to just go free for no reason.
Why?
So after that nonsense comes even more bullshit as the aliens reveal themselves to the entire world and call them bugs, which seems pretty premature since the aliens aren't going to invade for another 400 years. Yes, in the short term this will cause instability and panic, but since they have 4 centuries to deal with this fact, people will eventually calm down and actually be forced to deal with the problem. So, in the long term, the aliens have actually done humanity a favour, as this will force them to start working together.
Well, good going, stupid!
But again, these AI machines have to keep making stupid choices for the story to happen. So Liam, who seems to be in charge of stopping the invasion at this point, with the help of a few scientists, comes up with what might be the most retarded plan you could possibly imagine. So this plan of theirs has them develop cryogenic technology, which should not be possible since these supercomputers can disrupt all scientific research across the planet, but for some reason they don't do that here.
Oh, how convenient.
They then plan on having a human brain being frozen and placed inside a satellite, which is propelled to 1% the speed of light, using 1,000 nuclear bombs to do so. They are doing all of this so that it can reach the alien fleet before they arrive on Earth. Now, it is their hope that the aliens will take it on board with them to study, as they believe that somehow this human brain will be able to help stop the aliens. Yes, this is a real plan came up by a team of writers, and it's more retarded than I could have possibly imagined. Forget about humanity wasting a large amount of the Earth's most powerful weaponry to carry out this terrible plan, and forget about the trillions of dollars and sheer amount of manpower it took to make this happen. Just how the fuck could anyone possibly think that sending a human brain to a bunch of aliens is going to help humanity?
I don't know.
In fact, sending the aliens a biological sample of a human brain would end up helping the aliens tremendously, as they can now test, clone, or do whatever the fuck else they want with it. But for the people on Earth, there is nothing to be gained by doing this.
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
The only defense I can find trying to justify this enormous waste of resources are that the aliens are incapable of lying, and by giving them a human brain, they hope that this brain would be able to trick and deceive them. The problem with that explanation, however, is that the aliens already know that humans can lie and deceive, because Jonathan Pryce has already told them this.
You do this? You lie?
Well, I try not to, but, yeah. Yeah, we all do sometimes.
A liar is someone whose words are false. A liar cannot be trusted. We cannot coexist with liars.
So why would these aliens trust anything this brain tells them?
I don't know.
This show pretends to be clever, but it's not. It's what dumb people think is smart. Anyway, this elaborate and unnecessary plan that took multiple episodes to carry out ends up being pointless and anticlimactic, because when they finally post a brain to the aliens, the delivery system fucks up and this brain drifts off into space.
What a fucking waste of time.
The final episode has the black scientist who has done nothing so far get chosen by the leader of the UN, who of course is a black woman, to become a wallfacer. I know it's a shit name, but what they do is even worse. So 3 people have been chosen out of everyone to construct a plan to defeat the aliens, and get this, they must build this entire war plan entirely inside their head without telling anyone about it, nor can they write it down.
I'd say that sounds pretty retarded.
There are so many problems with the concept of wallfacers, but here are the main 3. First off, since there are 3 of them and they can't communicate with each other, how do they avoid messing up each other's plans?
I don't know.
Number 2, the invasion isn't for another 400 years, which means that these people will be long dead before it happens, and since they cannot pass on their ideas to other people, how do these wallfacers make sure that their plans will be enacted by the next several generations?
I don't fucking know.
And lastly, how can anyone possibly plan for something that is 400 years in the future against a threat you know nothing about?
I don't know.
This is one of the most retarded sci-fi plotlines I have ever seen. There is absolutely no way mankind can win other than the aliens let them, because they are simply too powerful and can easily crush the human race whenever they want. But we all know that they will lose only because the writing is terrible, and I can't believe that dumb people actually think that this show is smart simply because they don't understand it. It's why we have headlines like this.
Just because an idea is overly convoluted and complex doesn't make it cool.
So after all that bollocks, the series ends with Benedict Wong trying to cheer everyone up by saying it's okay to be compared to bugs, since no matter how much humanity has tried to zap them, burn them, step on them and poison them, they are still hanging around.
Shockingly, this isn't making me feel any better.
And that's the ending of the 3-body problem.
Wow, that's really boring.
Luckily for you, I have chosen to skip out the hours of boring drama and shit dialogue between the scientists, because it's about as enjoyable to watch as observing dog shit turn white in the sun. The writers want you to get invested and care about these characters, but they are just black holes of personality, so it fails miserably. They feel like filler because most of them are just that. Netflix's 3-body problem is boring and stupid. That is the most accurate way to describe the show, and if this is a faithful adaptation of the novel, then I don't know why it's regarded as this masterpiece, because judging by this show, it's shit. This brain-dead fucking idiocy isn't even worthy enough for me to wipe my ass with it, let alone have me spend money on it. This whole series felt like a giant waste of time. The characters, the plot, and the aliens are all completely retarded, and fuck all was achieved by the final episode. The critical flaw that this series has is that Dan and Dave have made these supercomputers way too powerful. They can alter a person's brain and drive them to insanity. They can see and hear everything that is happening on Earth. They can project powerful illusions across the entire planet. They can stop technology from being developed and can hack anything that is electronic, which means that they can detonate every nuke on the planet if they wanted to, and they're impossible to stop since they're the size of a proton. They are so massively overpowered they cannot be beaten, so the writers need them to start behaving retardedly so that the rest of the story can happen, like letting their loyal followers die for absolutely no reason, or alerting the whole world to an alien invasion 4 centuries before it happens, instead of doing the smart thing of hiding in the shadows and making humans fight one another. But no, these super intelligent AI cannot be competent, otherwise they would win, and that makes the show suck ass. Do not watch the 3-body problem, it's shit, the story is retarded, the characters are painfully boring to watch, and the entire season feels like a giant waste of time.
It's a piece of shit.